Okay, so today we are going to get into songs and song orders and how to use them. Now, this is an incredibly important topic. It can really make or break your entire set for this week, and so it's really wise to study this well. And one of the best things that you can do is to try new things. If you want to try out a new formula, a new way of doing this, then absolutely go for it. There are some general rules and guidelines and principles that will help you out a lot to help you be successful. That's what I'm going to share with you today. However, the Holy Spirit always has veto power, right? Like that's what you have to remember when selecting songs. If the Lord is saying, you know what, I know you did Good Father last week. You need to do it again this week. You know, like if you really feel that that's the case, then maybe you talk to your youth leader about it. But absolutely listen to him more than you listen to me. All right, listen to the Spirit more than you listen to me. That being said, we are human beings who have emotions, and our emotions are affected by a lot of different things in our lives. And one of the things that affects our emotions is music, right? And so when you are approaching song selection, what I want you to do is to think of it like a story. Okay. Now you can take that really far, and you can say, you know what? Okay, we're going to do a song that talks about creation, right? And then we're going to do a song that is grieving the fall, and then we're going to do a song that has redemption, right? I know a number of worship leaders. This is a legitimate strategy. If you sing about Jesus being raised from the dead, you don't follow that up with the song where he's back in the tomb again, right? Now, does the congregation actually notice that? Probably not. They probably don't, unless you're really being vocal about, like, hey, this is what we're doing. We're telling a story with this. We're making sure that we're going from, the fall to redemption, and we're telling a story, which is absolute. Yes, do that. I mean, if that's your intent when you're scheduling a set, absolutely go ahead and do that, and make your people know that you had intention behind the song selection. I know so many people who are dreaming of their perfect worship set, and then they are just so let down after the set. And then I'll ask them, I'll be like, well, did you tell them like this dream that you had of, man, we're gonna start like nice and slow and in a very worshipful state, and then we're gonna go from that into celebration. Like, did you tell them that at the beginning, or were they just expecting what they normally get every week, in big church or in your youth group, and you just kind of hit them with something new? If you don't talk to them, if you don't help them out and guide them through the process, it really doesn't matter much what you do in your song selection. They're just going to either go along with the flow, or they will not go along with the flow. Okay. And so what I want you to do is to be successful in this, which means that you're going to have to communicate your intention behind your decisions. So make some space in between some songs, or maybe at the beginning of your worship set, in order to do that. And you will find that the practices that you put into place here will really, really help to make that well. All right, so let's talk about the guidelines with song selection here, okay? So, as you can see, I'm screen sharing here. So if this is my first time doing this, so if I'm a little bit out of balance or whatever, like, just know I'm still learning here. Okay, most youth groups that I talk to are dealing with a 3 song set before their youth pastor comes and speaks to them. Okay, and shares the word. We can talk about songs 4 and 5, and I'll try to do that at the end if we're not going over time. I don't want this to be a super long one, but for the most part, most youth groups are doing 1, 2, and 3 songs. And so what we have here is a set list order. Okay, so we're going to start on this end, and we're going to move this way, and then we have intensity over here. So if I have a song down here, that's going to be a low intensity song. If I have a song, up here, it's going to be high intensity song, and one in here. Now, another way that you could talk about this is BPMs. Okay, you could talk about how fast is the song. Anything over 120 beats per minute, BPMs, is a fast song. That is the Nashville way of talking about song intensity. And so, a big, I thank God, that's, that's going to be a quick song, right? But, goodness of God, all my life you have been faithful. Da, da, da. Slower, lower intensity. Now, it does get intense. There are intense moments in slow songs, and those are some of my favorite parts, personally, of my personal worship experience, is intense parts of slower songs. But for the sake of argument, we're going to talk about the song as a whole. All right. Now, typically what you will see, this is general practices, the best way to go about doing a worship set is you're going to start with a high intensity song. Okay? Generally speaking, you want to start with that. Now, there's a couple of reasons why. One is because it grabs people's attention. If I walk into a room and I say, "Hey, everybody, how's it going?" Nobody's really going to pay attention to me. But if I walk into the room, slam open the door and say, "Hey, how's it going, everyone?" That suddenly I've got everyone's attention, right? It's kind of the same thing. It's a song that usually is not very deep theologically. You don't have to think about it yet. You don't have to worry about it being difficult to grasp. We're going to sing simple truths. We're going to sing them fast. We're going to sing them loud, and we're going to celebrate a little bit. And we're just going to have a little bit of loud going on. Okay. And that's a really good way to start your story. Okay. Now, the next song, you're going to want to bring that down a little bit. I would not go straight from song 1 all the way down to a really slow song. If you're doing a 3-song set, what I found is either do 2 kind of faster songs and then end with a third one that's kind of down here. Or if you want one that's kind of like 3/4 of the way down and another one that's really slow, like this is a good progression for a youth group set to go a little slower. Okay. Now, you might be wondering about that worship set that I mentioned at the beginning. What if I want to start really worshipful and then I kind of want to climb out of that to this huge celebration? What about this kind of curve? Like, why don't we do that? Now, you can absolutely do this. However, it's much more difficult. You're going to need a lot more time in your set list before you ever get to that first song. Okay? Because what you're going to have to do is you're going to have a moment in here to let people prepare for this. Okay? If you want this to be successful, and I'm telling you this because I've tried it. I've tried it over and over and over and over again. Specifically, one of the ways that you can do one of the biggest, most exciting songs out there, Glorious Day, right? One of the ways you can do that is nice and slow and somber. I was buried beneath my shame. And you can have it nice and slow, and then after the bridge, that kind of builds, and you hit it really hard right at the very end. It's a really cool way to do that song. However, if you're going to start a set like that, you'll find that people have a hard time following you if you just out of the gate start really, really low. Okay? So what I recommend is having this moment right here where you're just like, "Hey, everyone, listen, we're going to have a really reflective, nice, slow song. I want to start our day, our time together in this moment where we're connecting with God. We're not going to start with a big splash. We're not going to start with a really big entertaining song or anything like that. This is about us connecting with God. And so I want to give you some space to do that and give them some prayer prompts. Right now, I want to pray over your families. Okay. Like grab somebody nearby and just pray over their relationship with their parents, or something like that, like let's have a moment. Let's have some space. And then you can sneak into that slower song, that lower intensity song. And then from there you can climb out of that into song 2, which is a little bit more intense. So you can keep it low and then have a celebratory song at the end. I think that you'll find if you ask people afterwards, they're still going to most people want a more intense song at the beginning, a less intense song, and then to bring it down a little bit at the end. I was recently, we're going to talk about four and five now. Okay. I recently was asked to DJ a wedding. Now, DJ work is not necessarily my jam, right? But, it was good. It was a good friend of mine. And so, yeah, I decided to do it. I brought the sound equipment, and here's what I did. I was like, this is a wedding. This is a celebration. We're just going to keep every song up here for as long as there are people on the dance floor. And I just slammed it all with these high intensity, really fun party wedding songs. And I got 5 or 6 songs in, and I was like, oh man, this is kind of turning into a stinker because nobody's coming back to the dance floor except for the people who really like that particular song. And so I took one song and I threw it way down here, like nice slow dance song. And the next thing that I knew, everybody was on the dance floor. They were waiting to come down. Oh no, my video froze. They were waiting to come down off of that high intensity down onto a nice, slower, low song. So what I don't want you to do is to have any part of your set that is just all of the songs together. Or we're going to do only slow songs today, or we'll only do mid-range tempo songs today, or we're only going to do high intensity songs today. That's not very helpful to your congregation, and it's not serving them well because you're not helping them live through the emotions of a story, and the story of their week. Okay, everybody's day, everybody's week has had high times, okay, and they've had low times as well. So my standard go-to for a 5-song set would be to do a high intensity song at the beginning, bring it down with a medium, but kind of still on that higher end intensity song. I'll even try a lot of the times to do 2 high intensity songs in the beginning, bring it down for song 3, bring it back up for song 4, and then song 5 I'll bring it down again. So you kind of have this whoop bump right here in the middle. This is a really strong go-to song selection strategy. And you can really have a lot of success because it mirrors the emotional state of most people. All right. You want to come into church to be encouraged. You want to come into church to get some energy, to get some connection with some other people, and to feel like you have strength to make it another day. All right. And see, that's why you need those high intensity songs. But you've also had moments this week where you're like, man, I really need some quiet and some space where I can connect with God. And so you bring the set down into a place where, oh, I can really just allow what God is doing to resonate within me, to listen to Him, to pray to Him, and then bring it back up again. There's hope at the end of at the light at the end of the tunnel. There's hope at the end of the day, and then right back down. Okay, we're about to study God's holy word. I'm going to bring my heart into a place of stillness, a place of quiet. I'm going to focus on Him. So that's my go-to for a 5-song set. Another thing that you can do is kind of have it go like this. This is another good strategy for a 5-song set. Have a nice high intensity song at the beginning, bring it down to mid intensity, and then down, and then back up. And then occasionally what I'll do with a 5-song set is I'll bring one from the middle intensity up into a higher intensity, so you kind of trick your people to think that they're already in that celebratory state with a kind of mid-range high intensity song, and then you kick it up an extra notch. That's another good way to knock people out of their comfort zones, and then you slowly bring it down. Either continue to bring it down or back up at the end as well. So those are some good guidelines for you. I hope that this has pricked your imagination. I hope this has made you think and made you go, man, I really think that I have a grasp on what works, what doesn't, and maybe why some things work and why some things don't. And again, I can't stress this enough. It's not enough just to schedule the set and take people on a journey if you're not willing to tell them where you're taking them on that journey as well. Okay. And so be very open, be very vocal about why you scheduled a set the way that you have. I know I know that Elevation doesn't do that. I know that Hillsong on the videos that you're watching on YouTube, they're not doing that a lot of the time. Sometimes they'll do it like in the middle of a song. But that's because they've already trained their people to expect a thing, right? And they've got some formulas that are already working. They've had a lot of trial and error and years and years and years of doing this to know what works and what doesn't, to the degree that they don't have to tell anyone what they're doing. Okay. Now, your goal is to bring everybody, all the people that you can, along with you on a journey. Okay. Now, a good leader is constantly communicating to the people that they are leading and helping them out on that journey as well. And so just be open and honest about the plan, about your strategies, about why you chose to do what you chose to do this week. And you know what? If you do that, people will start to respond. You'll get that same feedback that those other churches that I mentioned have already gotten. And you'll begin to learn. Oh, my video froze again. You'll begin to learn what works and what doesn't, and it will really help you to move forward in your worship leadership and your confidence as to what works and what doesn't. All right.